The National Gallery in London houses one of the finest collections of Western European paintings in the world. Its extraordinary range includes masterpieces from the early medieval and Renaissance periods to post-impressionism, spanning from the 13th to the early 20th century, by artists such as Leonardo, Raphael, Holbein, Titian, Velázquez, Rembrandt, Turner, Monet, and Van Gogh. Before the camera was invented, painting was the primary technique of picture making. European artists used canvas, brushes, and colored paint to create images, tell powerful stories from ancient mythology and the holy sculpture, and capture the vivid features of influential personalities. Now their works are well preserved and displayed in museums like the National Gallery. When visitors come to view these masterpieces, not only are they amazed by their great technique, but also catch a glimpse of what life was like during those periods, and imagine how events may have been unfolded in history. St. Catherine of Alexandria, 1507, by Raphael. Catherine, Princess of Alexandria, was born in 287 in Alexandria, Roman Egypt, to the governor of Alexandria. She became a devout Christian at a young age. When she, at age 17, refused to renounce her Christian faith against the wishes of Roman Emperor Maxentius, the emperor ordered that she be bound to a spiked wheel and tortured to death. Later, Catherine was venerated as a great martyr by the Eastern Orthodox Church and established as one of the most revered saints in Christianity. In this painting, Raphael shows her hand on her heart and the lips parted in a moment of divine ecstasy, looking heavenwards to a golden break in the clouds. He uses the gold lining of St. Catherine's cloak to emphasize the elegant twist of her pose. Venus and Mars, 1485, by Sandro Botticelli. The scene depicts the Roman gods Venus and Mars in a peaceful allegorical moment. Venus, the goddess of love, fully clothed, sits upright, alert and graceful, gazing toward her lover Mars, the god of war, who appears exhausted and asleep, his weapons discarded and armor removed, symbolizing how love conquers war. He is oblivious of the playful chubby satyrs, half-child, half-gold figures, blowing a conch shell in his ear, adding a humorous, light-hearted touch. Botticelli was famous for his mythological pictures, drawing inspiration from the art of antiquity, so admired in Renaissance Florence. Mars' well-defined body refers deliberately to ancient sculptures. The theme of this picture is the triumph of love over war. It was likely commissioned to celebrate a marriage. Samson and Delilah is a dramatic Baroque masterpiece by the Flemish artist Peter Paul Rubens. The painting captures a biblical moment from the Book of Judges, depicting a story of love and a betrayal. Delilah, known for her extraordinary beauty and a voluptuous figure, is loved by the strong man Samson. She is bribed to discover the secret of Samson's supernatural strength, which lies in his hair, and watches as an accomplice cuts his hair, leaving him powerless. Outside, soldiers wait to capture him. The old woman behind her is a withered likeness of Delilah, perhaps suggesting that she will one day lose the beauty that ensnared Samson. Rubens used a highly contrasting light and shade, along with rich color, to achieve the painting's sensual yet treacherous atmosphere. The Rape of the Sabine Woman, 1635, by Peter Paul Rubens. Shortly after the Kingdom of Rome was founded in the mid-8th century BC, it faced a shortage of women. The Roman king Romulus was concerned about the population decline. After his unsuccessful negotiation with the neighboring town of Sabine to obtain their women, Romulus hatched a plan to abduct the women from Sabine and make them wives of Roman men. The Rape of the Sabine Women by Peter Paul Rubens tells how the Sabine tribe was lured to Rome to attend a festival. In the foreground, Rubens depicts the turbulent moment when, at a signal from their king Romulus, the Romans carried off the Sabine women. A later violent episode is shown in the background when the Sabine attacked Rome and were defeated. The whole scene is set against the backdrop of a classical architecture, with the men in Roman armor and the woman in 17th century Flemish dress. The Execution of Lady Jane Grey, 1833, by Paul Delaroche. The Protestant lady Jane Grey, the great-granddaughter of Henry VII of England, reigned for just 9 days as Queen of England in 1553, before being deposed by the Catholic supporters of Henry VII's daughter Mary Tudor. She was tried for treason, condemned to death, and beheaded, marking the most tumultuous and violent time in British history. Delaroche depicts the execution in the Tower of London, showing the moment when Jane is led to the block. He creates a highly theatrical, stage-like setting for her execution, at which we are in the front row. We must either gaze at the terrible event about to happen or look away, like the ladies in the waiting in the background. He also creates a theatrical effect by setting his figures against the shadowy architecture. Brightest among them is Jane herself, vulnerable in her underdress of cream satin. The Virgin with the infant Saint John the Baptist adoring the Christ child, also known as the Virgin of the Rocks, 1491, by Leonardo da Vinci. This mysterious painting shows the Virgin Mary and Christ with Saint John the Baptist and an angel crowded in a grotto overhung with rocks and dense with vegetation. It was a part of a large, elaborate altarpiece made for the Church of San Francisco Grande in Milan, dedicated to the Immaculate Conception of the Virgin Mary. Leonardo's chiaroscuro technique creates dramatic shifts between light and dark, giving the impression that the figures are emerging from the darkness. Diana and the Castello is a stunning mythological masterpiece by the Venetian Renaissance artist Titian, painted in 1556. The painting illustrates a dramatic scene from Greek mythology. Diana was the virgin huntress goddess, and the Castello was one of Diana's most beautiful nymphs. Jupiter lusted after her and disguised himself to trick and seduce her. Titian captures the moment when Diana discovers Castello is pregnant. Diana sits on her throne to the right, surrounded by her attendants and wearing her crescent moon crown. With ruthless calm, she stretches out her hand to banish Costello. Humiliated, Costello struggles on the ground as the clothing is pulled off to reveal her swollen belly. The rich, vibrant colors, fluid brushwork, and the luminous flesh tones exemplify Titian's style. The National Gallery in London is one of the world's most prestigious art museums, housing the UK's national collection of Western European paintings from the mid-13th to the early 20th century. It features over 2,300 works, including masterpieces by artists such as Leonardo da Vinci, Jan van Eyck, Rembrandt, Titian, Turner, Van Gogh, and Manet, telling the story of European art from medieval altarpieces to impressionist works. Since its founding in 1824, the National Gallery has built its collection through various ways, including government purchases, private bequests, donations, and public funding. The vast majority of the paintings are from outside the UK, from countries like Italy, the Netherlands, France, Spain, and Germany. The whole room of Peter Paul Rubens. There's an impressive collection of paintings by the Flemish Baroque artist Peter Paul Rubens, including The Judgment of Paris. The Judgment of Paris was an episode from Greek mythology and was frequently depicted by European artists during the Renaissance. Rubens painted several times in his life. 2 of them are in the National Gallery's collection. Rubens explored in detail the idea of feminine beauty through his fascinating paintings of the voluptuous nudes of 3 mythological goddesses, Venus, Juno, and Minerva. Venus, goddess of love, Juno, goddess of marriage, and Minerva, goddess of war and wisdom, are standing by Paris, the Prince of Troy. One of them will be chosen by Paris as the most beautiful goddess, awarded a golden apple inscribed to the fairest. To win this title, 3 goddesses offered Paris different things. Juno offered Paris wealth and power. Minerva offered wisdom and strength. Venus promised him the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta, a gift that Paris couldn't resist. Rubens painted this version in 1632 at age 55. The background is a far-reaching landscape set in the soft evening sun. The 3 nude figures each show a different aspect of the female form, painted with a sensitive, almost tender understanding of the body in various states of emotion. The textures of silk, velvet, and feathers, and the hair brushing against the pale flesh, glowing in the light, are Rubens at his sensual best. The lush, dramatic landscape, dynamic poses, and the voluptuous nudes showcase Rubens' mastery of color, movement, and the female form. An earlier version of The Judgment of Paris hangs next to it. Rubens painted in 1597, just at the age of 20. This painting shows greater influence from Rubens' Flemish training under his teacher, Otto van Veen, with a more compact, somewhat stiff, and a less exuberant treatment. Paris sits on the left, back to us, and the goddesses appear more frontal. It has a youthful energy, but less fluidity and sensuality. The nudes are elegant, yet restrained compared to his mature work.
portrait